Big cat sightings, UK. This is my own encounter, which I wrote down in the middle of July 1997. This is exactly as I remember and factual. Please sit back and listen to a really true encounter. The Didcot encounter. In the stillness of late July 1999, the sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the rolling countryside just outside of Didcot. It had been an ordinary day at work, and I was on my way home, eager for a few hours of quiet at a local fishing spot near Courtney Gravel Pits. The evening air was warm, heavy with the earthy scent of grass and dust, stirred by the dry summer breeze. As I turned off the main road and onto a narrow gravel path winding through the pits, the world seemed to grow quieter, more isolated. The crunch of gravel beneath my tyres was the only sound as I navigated the twists and turns, the landscape on either side marked by tall grass and sparse trees. The fishing lake was only a short drive away now, its peaceful waters calling to me. But then, in the fading light of dusk, something caught my eye. Just ahead, stepping out from the tall grass that lined the roadside, a shape emerged, a shape far too large, far too deliberate, to be anything I had expected to see. It was a cat, but not just any cat. This was something massive, a predator unlike any I'd ever seen in the British countryside. It was sleek, its fur as black as the shadows that stretched across the road. The cat was impossibly large, at least 6 feet long from nose to tail. Its body was low to the ground, only 2 or 3 feet tall, but it moved with an unsettling grace, each step measured, its muscles rippling under its shiny coat. I slammed my foot on the brake, my heart pounding in my chest. The car lurched to a stop, and for a moment I could do nothing but stare. The cat paused in the middle of the road, as if aware of my presence, but completely unbothered. It didn't look at me directly at first. Instead, it turned its head slightly to the side, as if assessing whether I posed any threat. Its eyes gleamed in the dim light, yellow, glowing faintly with a predatory intensity that made the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. I had never seen anything like it before. The creature's paws were enormous, wide and powerful, built for gripping and tearing. There was an aura of raw strength about it, a dangerous elegance that made it clear this was not an ordinary animal. I inched the car forward, hoping to get a better look, but the cat wasn't in a hurry. It sauntered across the road, as if it owned the land, its tail, long and thick, swaying behind it like a whip. Every step it took was purposeful, calculated, and for a brief second it glanced at me. Our eyes met, and I froze. That brief glance was enough to send a shiver down my spine. And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it slipped into the tall grass on the other side of the road. Without thinking, I switched the engine off and jumped out of the car. I couldn't just let it disappear. I had to know what it was, where it had gone. Climbing onto the doorsill of my car, I stood as high as I could, trying to get a better view over the roof. My eyes scanned the area where it had vanished. There, just 2 or 3 meters away, I caught another glimpse of it. The cat was moving back into the grass, but even with the fading light, it seemed to melt into its surroundings. Its black coat blended seamlessly with the shadows of the tall grass. And within moments, it was gone, vanished. The only movement left was the gentle swaying of the grass in the evening breeze. I was standing there nearly 8 feet above the ground with a clear view of the area. The grass was no more than 3 feet tall, certainly not tall enough to hide something of that size so completely. And yet, it had disappeared, as if the earth itself had swallowed it whole. My pulse raced as I strained to see any further movement, any sign of where the cat had gone, but there was nothing, only silence. I knew what I'd seen. There was no mistaking it. This was no ordinary animal, no stray house cat or overgrown pet. This was something far more dangerous, far more wild. A predator, perfectly adapted to its environment, capable of vanishing into the landscape with an ease that defied explanation. I stood there for what felt like hours, my eyes scanning the horizon, waiting for it to reappear. But it never did. The air around me felt charged, as if something was watching me from the shadows, but there was nothing to be seen. The only sound was the rustling of the grass in the wind and the distant call of birds settling in for the night. As I climbed back into my car, my hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had witnessed something extraordinary. The memory of those piercing yellow eyes stayed with me, a reminder that the wilderness of Britain holds more secrets than we realize. I drove the rest of the way home in silence, the image of that black cat replaying in my mind. Even now, all these years later, I can still see it clearly, the sleek, muscular body, the silent predatory movements and the way it disappeared into the night, leaving me with a sense of awe and unease. There's no doubt in my mind what I saw that day, and if it could vanish so effortlessly into the grass before my eyes, who knows what else lurks in the hidden corners of the British countryside, waiting to be seen by those of us who dare to look. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe for more.